Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you something. Do you ever feel like you're working hard but not really getting anywhere? Like you're always busy, but at the end of the day, you still feel behind? That's because being busy and being productive are two completely different things. And the only way to make real progress in life is by mastering your priorities. See, success isn't about doing everything. It's about doing the right things at the right time. You don't need more hours in the day. You just need to stop wasting time on things that don't matter. Today, I'm going to show you how to master your priorities, take control of your time, and start moving forward with real purpose. Because if you don't control your priorities, somebody else will. And when you live your life on somebody else's terms, you wake up one day wondering why you're not where you want to be. We're not letting that happen. So listen up, because by the time we're done, you're going to know exactly how to put first things first and start winning every single day. Not everything in your life deserves your time and energy. One of the biggest reasons people feel stuck, overwhelmed, or frustrated is because they spend too much time on things that don't actually matter. They get caught up in the urgency of the moment, reacting to everything instead of choosing what really deserves their focus. If you want to master your priorities, you have to start by understanding what truly matters. Most people wake up and go through their day on autopilot. They check their phone first thing in the morning, reply to messages, scroll through social media, handle whatever problems pop up, and before they know it, the day is over. They were busy all day long, yet somehow they didn't get any closer to their goals. This happens because they never stop to ask themselves, is this actually important? Just because something demands your attention doesn't mean it deserves it. And just because you feel busy doesn't mean you're being productive. If you don't take the time to define what's important, the world will decide for you. And most of the time, the world will keep you busy with things that don't move your life forward. So how do you figure out what really matters? You have to take a step back and get honest with yourself. What do you truly want in life? What are the things that, if you focused on them consistently, would change your life for the better? Maybe it's your career, your family, your health, your personal growth, or your financial future. Whatever it is, you need to identify it. Once you know what truly matters, everything else becomes a distraction. Think about the most successful people in the world. They don't waste their time doing 100 little things that don't matter. They focus on the things that actually move the needle. They are intentional about where they put their time and energy. They don't let other people's demands, expectations, or distractions pull them away from their true priorities. They know what matters and they commit to it fully. If you want to master your priorities, you have to do the same. One of the best ways to do this is to start your day with intention. Before you check your phone, before you start reacting to emails, before you let the outside world pull you in 1,000 different directions, take a moment and ask yourself, what are the most important things I need to do today? Not the most urgent things, not the things people are pressuring you to do, but the things that will actually get you closer to your goals. When you start your day with a clear focus on what truly matters, you take control of your time instead of letting your time control you. It's also important to recognize that not everything you think is important actually is. Sometimes we convince ourselves that we have to do certain things when in reality, those things don't actually make a difference. This is why you have to constantly evaluate how you're spending your time. Ask yourself, is this getting me closer to where I want to be? If the answer is no, then why are you doing it? Too often, people fill their schedules with things that make them feel productive, but in reality, they're just avoiding the real work. If something isn't moving you forward, it's holding you back. Another thing to keep in mind is that what truly matters to you may not be what matters to other people, and that's okay. Your priorities are yours. Other people will always have their own opinions about what you should do, how you should spend your time, and what they think is important. But at the end of the day, You are the only one who has to live with the results of your choices. If you spend your life chasing someone else's version of success, you'll wake up one day realizing you built a life that doesn't even make you happy. Don't let that happen. Get clear on what truly matters to you and then have the courage to protect it, no matter what anyone else thinks. Once you know what matters, the next step is to align your actions with your priorities. It's not enough to just say something is important. You have to prove it with how you spend your time. If you say your health is a priority, but you never make time to exercise or eat right, then it's not really a priority. If you say your family is important, but you spend all your time working and never make time for them, then your actions aren't matching your priorities aren't just what you say, they are what you do every single day. Mastering your priorities isn't about doing more, it's about doing less of what doesn't matter and more of what does. It's about cutting out the distractions, saying no to things that don't serve your purpose, and making sure your time and energy are spent on things that actually make a difference. Because at the end of the day, success isn't about how much you do, it's about doing the right things. So ask yourself, am I spending my time on what truly matters? If the answer is no, it's time to make a change. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't serve your goals, you are saying no to something that does. This is one of the hardest lessons to learn, but once you understand it, it will change your life. Most people struggle with priorities, not because they don't know what's important, but because they feel obligated to say yes to too many things that don't align with their true goals. They say yes out of guilt. They say yes because they don't want to disappoint others. They say yes because they think that's what they're supposed to do. But what they don't realize is that every yes takes up space in their life. And if they're not careful, their time and energy will be filled with things that don't actually move them forward. Saying no isn't about being selfish. It's about protecting your time, your energy, and your future. You only have so much of yourself to give. And if you spread yourself too thin, you won't have anything left for what really matters. Think about it. If you say yes to every request, every favor, every little task that comes your way, how much time will you have left for your goals? How much focus will you have for the things that truly matter? The answer is not much. That's why you have to start saying no to anything that doesn't serve your priorities. Because when you say yes to things that don't matter, you are stealing time and energy away from the things that do. The problem is that most people don't even realize how much of their time is being taken up by things that don't matter. They don't realize how often they say yes out of habit or obligation. But if you take a step back and really look at how you're spending your time, you'll probably see that a lot of it is going to things that don't actually align with your goals. Maybe you keep agreeing to take on extra work at your job, even though it doesn't help you grow. Maybe you keep saying yes to social events that drain your energy instead of inspire you. Maybe you keep allowing other people's problems to become your problems, even when it's not your responsibility. The first step to fixing this is to start being intentional about what you say yes to. The next time someone asks you for something, don't just agree automatically. Stop and ask yourself, does this help me move forward? Does this align with my priorities? Will this take time away from something more important? If the answer is no, then it's okay to say no. You don't owe anyone an explanation. You don't have to justify why you're protecting your time. You just have to know that your future depends on the choices you make today. And if you don't guard your time, nobody else will. Now, let's talk about the guilt that comes with saying no. Because for a lot of people, that's the hardest part. They don't want to disappoint others. They don't want people to think they're rude, unhelpful, or selfish. But let me tell you something. Successful people don't succeed because they say yes to everything. They succeed because they are selective about what they give their time to. They know that their time is valuable, and they don't waste it on things that don't serve their purpose. It's not your job to make everyone happy. It's not your job to meet every demand that comes your way. Your job is to focus on what truly matters and give your best energy to the things that will actually make a difference in your life. And if that means some people get upset because you didn't do what they wanted, then so be it. You can't build your dreams if you're spending all your time building someone else's. Of course, this doesn't mean you should never help others or be there for the people you care about, but there's a difference between being kind and being a pushover. There's a difference between helping someone because you want to and saying yes because you feel like you have to. The key is to be intentional. If something aligns with your priorities, if it adds value to your life or the lives of the people you truly care about, then say yes. But if it takes you away from your goals, if it drains your energy, if it leaves you feeling resentful or exhausted, then it's not worth it. Saying no doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you a focused person. It makes you a person who values your time. It makes you a person who understands that every yes has a cost, and you're not willing to waste your life on things that don't matter. The most successful people in the world aren't the ones who do the most, they're the ones who do the right things. And the only way to make sure you're doing the right things is to stop filling your life with the wrong one. So from now on, before you say yes to anything, stop and ask yourself if it's truly worth your time. Ask yourself if it helps you grow, if it moves you forward, if it aligns with what truly matters. And if the answer is no, then have the courage to say no. Your future depends on the choices you make today. Don't waste it on things that don't matter. If everything is important, then nothing is. One of the biggest reasons people struggle with their priorities is because they try to focus on too many things at once. They think they can handle everything, that they can juggle 100 different tasks, commitments, and responsibilities without dropping the ball. But the truth is, when you try to focus on everything, you end up focusing on nothing. Your energy gets scattered, your progress slows down, and before you know it, you feel overwhelmed, exhausted, and stuck in the same place. The key to mastering your priorities is learning to put first things first, not second, not third, first. That means getting crystal clear on what actually matters the most and making sure that nothing gets in the way of it. It means identifying the things that will have the biggest impact on your future and giving them your best time and energy. Because if you don't, life will pull you in 100 different directions, and you'll spend all your time on things that don't actually move you forward. Most people confuse being busy with being productive. They fill their days with tasks, meetings, emails, social media, favors, and distractions, thinking that because they are constantly doing something, they must be making progress. But being busy is not the same as being effective. You can run in circles all day and still end up right where you started. If you want to get ahead, you have to stop filling your schedule with everything and start focusing on the few things that truly matter. So how do you know what to put first? You have to ask yourself one simple question. If I could only accomplish one thing today, what would make the biggest difference in my life? Not what's easiest, not what's most urgent, not what other people expect from you, but what will actually move the needle in your life. That's what you put first. That's what you prioritize. For example, if you're trying to build a business, your first priority isn't answering every email, scrolling through social media, or tweaking your website for the 10th time. It's making sales, building relationships, and creating value. If you're trying to improve your health, your first priority isn't researching different workout programs for weeks. It's actually getting up and moving. If you're trying to strengthen your relationships, your first priority isn't sending a quick text. It's spending real quality time with the people who matter. The problem is, most people don't want to do the real work first. They want to do the easy stuff first. They want to check off small, meaningless tasks because it makes them feel productive. But productivity isn't about how many things you do. It's about doing the right things. And the right things are usually the ones that require the most focus, the most effort, and the most commitment. That's why most people avoid them. But if you truly want to get ahead, you have to flip the script. You have to do the most important thing first, before distractions take over, before your energy runs out, before the world pulls you in 100 different directions. If you don't, you'll spend your day reacting instead of creating. You'll spend your life working on things that don't actually matter instead of making real progress toward your goals. This is why successful people don't leave their priorities to chance. They don't hope that they'll have time to get to the important stuff after they finish everything else. They make time. They schedule their top priorities first and protect them like their future depends on it, because it does. They know that if they don't put first things first, the world will fill their time with things that don't matter. And here's the reality. There will always be something trying to pull you away from your priorities. There will always be emails to answer, people to call, small tasks that seem urgent, and distractions that feel important in the moment. But if you let those things take over, you'll never move forward. You have to learn to say no to the things that don't matter so you can say yes to the things that do. It's not easy. It takes discipline. It takes making hard choices. It takes being willing to disappoint people who don't understand your priorities. But at the end of the day, your success, your happiness, and your future depend on your ability to focus on what truly matters. So before you start your day, before you get caught up in the noise and the chaos, take a moment to ask yourself, what is the one thing I need to do today that will truly make a difference? Then do that first. Not after the emails, not after the distractions. First, because if you don't, you'll spend your life doing everything except the things that actually matter. And that's a price you can't afford to pay. You will never have enough time for everything, but you will always have time for what matters most. The biggest mistake people make when trying to manage their priorities is waiting for the perfect time to focus on what's important. They tell themselves, I'll start when things calm down, or I'll make time for this once I get through everything else. But here's the truth. Life never calms down. There will always be something demanding your attention, something unexpected, something urgent, trying to pull you away from what truly matters. If you don't take control of your time, life will control it for you. The people who succeed at mastering their priorities don't wait for the perfect moment. They create it. They don't wait until they feel ready, until they have free time, or until circumstances align perfectly. They make the time no matter what. Because if you don't intentionally carve out time for your priorities, everything else will eat up your schedule, and you'll look back years later wondering why you never made progress. Think about it. How many times have you told yourself you'd get serious about something important, but life got in the way? How many times have you planned to start a business, get in shape, spend more time with family, or work on your passion, but you got too busy? The reality is, it's not that you didn't have time, it's that you didn't make the time. There's a difference. You have the same 24 hours as everyone else. The difference between people who achieve their goals and people who don't isn't that they have more time, it's that they prioritize differently. They don't try to fit their most important goals into their schedule after everything else. They build their schedule around their most important goals. They block out time for what matters first and fit everything else around that. You have to treat your priorities like appointments that cannot be missed. If you had a meeting with a billionaire investor who could change your life, you wouldn't cancel it just because you got busy. If your dream job called and asked for an interview, you wouldn't reschedule just because other things came up. But that's exactly what people do when it comes to their own priorities. They treat them as optional. They push them to the side. They think they'll get to them later, not realizing that later never comes unless they make it happen. The truth is, if you don't schedule your priorities, the world will schedule them for you. Your inbox, social media, other people's needs, and last-minute tasks will always find a way to fill your time. And if you keep letting that happen, your dreams, your health, your relationships, and your personal growth will always come last. You have to flip the script. Instead of hoping you'll have time for your priorities, you need to put them on your calendar first, before emails, before meetings, before distractions take over. It's not about finding time, it's about making time. If something is truly a priority, you make time for it, just like you make time for work, bills, and responsibilities. That might mean waking up an hour earlier to work on your goals. That might mean saying no to things that don't align with your future. That might mean turning off your phone, cutting back on TV, or setting boundaries with people who constantly demand your time. But whatever it takes, you have to be willing to protect your priorities because nobody else will do it for you. Some people might not understand. They might get upset when you stop saying yes to every little request. They might think you're being distant or selfish. But here's the thing, you cannot live your life based on what other people expect from you. You have to live based on what's best for your future. The people who truly care about you will understand. And the people who don't, they were never invested in your success to begin with. You also have to realize that small pockets of time add up. A lot of people think they need hours of free time to make progress on their goals, so they don't even start. But that's not true. You can make real progress with just 30 minutes a day if you stay consistent. Imagine where you'd be 6 months from now if you dedicated just 30 minutes every day to working on your biggest priority. That's over 90 hours of focused effort. That's more progress than most people make in years because they keep waiting for the perfect time that never comes. Successful people don't wait for time to magically appear. They create systems. They build habits. They wake up earlier if they have to. They cut out distractions. They commit to their priorities like their future depends on it, because it does. So stop waiting. Stop telling yourself you'll start later. Stop thinking that one day life will slow down and give you the perfect opportunity. That day isn't coming. The only way to make progress is to make time for what matters right now. Because if you don't, years from now, you'll look back and realize that you weren't too busy, you just never made it a priority. Distractions are everywhere. They come in all shapes and sizes. Your phone buzzing with notifications, emails demanding immediate attention, people interrupting you with their own priorities, and even your own thoughts pulling you away from what truly matters. If you don't take control of your focus, these distractions will control you. And if you allow them to control you, your priorities will always take a back seat to whatever is loudest, most urgent, or most entertaining in the moment. The reason most people struggle to get things done isn't that they lack motivation or that they aren't smart enough. It's because they don't know how to protect their focus. They start their day with good intentions, ready to work on their goals. But before they know it, hours have passed and they haven't made any real progress. Not because they weren't working, but because they were constantly interrupted, pulled in different directions, or distracted by things that don't actually matter. You have to guard your focus like your future depends on it, because it does. Every time you let yourself get distracted, every time you stop working on something important to check your phone, every time you let other people's demands take priority over your own goals, you are delaying your success. You are stretching out the time it will take to reach your dreams. And the worst part, Most distractions aren't even worth it. That 5-minute scroll through social media turns into 20 minutes. That one quick email turns into a full hour of responding to things that weren't urgent. That one small favor for someone else turns into a whole afternoon gone. And at the end of the day, you left wondering why you didn't get anything meaningful done. You have to decide what deserves your attention and what doesn't. Not everything is worth your time. Not everything requires an immediate response. Not everything is urgent just because it feels urgent in the moment. If you treat every notification, every request, every distraction as equally important, you will never make real progress on what actually matters. The most successful people in the world are not the ones who work the hardest. They are the ones who work the smartest. And working smart means eliminating distractions and setting boundaries. It means knowing when to say no. It means creating an environment where you can focus without interruption. If you're constantly checking your phone, turn it off or put it in another room while you work. If emails keep pulling you away, schedule specific times to check them instead of responding all day long. If people constantly interrupt you, set clear boundaries and let them know when you are unavailable. It's not enough to just want to stay focused. You have to design your life in a way that makes it easier to focus. If you're working in a chaotic environment, change it. If you're surrounded by distractions, remove them. If you're allowing yourself to get pulled in too many directions, start saying no. Because if you don't control your focus, the world will do it for you. Another big reason people struggle with focus is that they try to do too many things at once. They think that multitasking is the key to getting more done. But in reality, multitasking is just switching between distractions. Every time you switch from one task to another, your brain has to reset, and that takes time. Research has shown that multitasking makes you less productive, not more. If you want to truly master your priorities, you have to commit to one thing at a time. When you sit down to work on something important, make a decision. Nothing else matters in this moment. Not your phone, not your emails, not other people's requests, just this one thing. Set a timer if you have to. Give yourself a solid block of uninterrupted time where your only job is to focus. If you do this consistently, you will get more done in a few focus hours than most people get done in an entire day of distracted work. You also have to train your mind to stay focused. In today's world where everything is designed to steal your attention, focus is a skill. And just like any skill, it can be improved. If you constantly let yourself get distracted, your ability to concentrate will get weaker. But if you train yourself to focus, your ability to stay locked in on what matters will get stronger. Start small if you have to. Set a goal to focus for just 15 minutes at a time, then slowly increase it. The more you practice, the better you'll get. At the end of the day, your success is determined by what you focus on the most. If you constantly focus on distractions, you'll stay stuck. But if you protect your focus, guard your time, and eliminate everything that pulls you away from your priorities, you will move forward faster than you ever thought possible. It's not about working harder, it's about working smarter. And working smarter means staying locked in on what truly matters while ignoring everything that doesn't. So ask yourself, are you protecting your focus, or are you letting distractions steal your future? Because every time you let something meaningless take over your time, you are pushing your goals further away. But every time you say no to distractions and yes to your priorities, you are taking one step closer to the life you want. Make the right choice. Protect your focus. Your future depends on it. Life is unpredictable. No matter how well you plan, no matter how determined you are, things will go wrong. Challenges will come out of nowhere. Obstacles will slow you down. And sometimes it will feel like nothing is working in your favor. That's when most people start making excuses. They tell themselves, this is just too hard, or I'll try again later when things get better. But here's the reality. If you wait for perfect conditions, you will never make progress. If you wait for everything to be easy, you will never accomplish anything meaningful. The most successful people in the world don't succeed because life is easier for them. They succeed because they keep going no matter what. You have to learn to adjust, not abandon. When things don't go as planned, that's not a reason to quit. It's a reason to find another way. Think about it like this. If you're driving to an important destination and suddenly you see a roadblock, do you just turn around and go home? No. You find another route, you adjust, you take a detour, but you keep moving toward where you need to go. The same principle applies to your priority. When obstacles come, when distractions try to pull you away, when challenges make things harder than you expected, you don't give up. You adjust your approach and keep pushing forward. Most people don't struggle because they lack talent. They don't fail because they aren't smart enough or strong enough. They fail because they give up too soon. They hit a few roadblocks and decide it's not worth it. But the people who win in life, they are the ones who refuse to quit. They are the ones who stay focused even when things aren't going their way. They are the ones who don't make excuses when life gets tough. You have to understand that nothing great comes without resistance. The bigger your goals, the bigger the challenges you will face. That's not a sign that you should quit. That's a sign that you're on the right path. If you want something most people will never have, you have to be willing to do what most people will never do. And that means pushing through the tough days, the setbacks, the failures, and the unexpected challenges that life throws at you. When things don't go as planned, the first thing most people do is blame their circumstances. They say, I don't have enough time, or I don't have the right resources, or it's just too hard for me. But let's be real. There are people out there who have had it worse than you, with fewer resources, with bigger struggles, and they still made it. Why? Because they refuse to let obstacles define their future. They refuse to let hard times be an excuse for giving up. Instead of complaining, they adapted. Instead of quitting, they found a way. That's the mindset you need to have. When something gets in your way, find a way around it. When life throws distractions at you, learn to block them out. When something isn't working, try a different approach. If one method doesn't work, don't abandon the goal. Just change the strategy. If you're struggling to stay consistent with your priorities, adjust your routine. Maybe mornings aren't working for you, so try evenings. Maybe working in long stretches is too much, so break it into smaller chunks. Maybe distractions at home are pulling you away, so find a quieter place to focus. Whatever the issue is, there's always a way to adjust. One of the best skills you can develop in life is the ability to stay focused no matter what. Most people let small setbacks completely throw them off course. They miss a workout and decide they might as well give up on their fitness goals. They have a slow week in business and start doubting their abilities. They get rejected once and think they're not good enough. But winners think differently. When they fall off track, they don't beat themselves up. They reset and get back to work. They don't waste time feeling sorry for themselves. They focus on solutions, not excuses. It's not about avoiding challenges. It's about training yourself to handle them better. It's about becoming the type of person who stays committed no matter what's happening around them. That's the key to mastering your priorities. That's the difference between people who succeed and people who don't. Success is not about talent. It's not about luck. It's about staying locked in on your goals, adjusting when necessary, and refusing to quit when things get hard. Every single day you will have a choice. You can either let obstacles stop you or you can keep moving forward despite them. You can either use distractions as an excuse or you can take control of your focus. You can either let unexpected challenges throw you off track or you can adjust and keep going. The people who win in life, they are the ones who make the choice to stay focused no matter what. So stop waiting for things to be perfect. Stop waiting for an easy path. Stop waiting for life to hand you the perfect opportunity, because that's not how it works. The real question is, are you willing to stay focused even when life throws distractions, roadblocks, and difficulties your way? Because if you are, there is absolutely nothing that can stop you from achieving your goals.